It's about 2:15 now. So I would finish this session by around 4 p.m. And the agenda for today's session would be, I have packed in a lot of information related to citations and referencing. The way that I will progress with this is, there are certain prerequisites for the workshop. And you should have received this prerequisites via email from Dr. Meena Kumari. I would expect that all of you would have installed the Mendeley Desktop, the Mendeley Web, by creating an account in Mendeley, as well as Microsoft Word plugin. So these are the three things that you should have installed and configured it while joining this particular session. I opened up the forum for almost 15 minutes in order to resolve some of these installation related issues. I will not be repeating them again. I will walk you through with the references, citations, why they are important, and how do we use them effectively. So the agenda for today would be, what is the need of having the reference manager? Installation and setup is already covered as part of the prerequisites. What I will be focusing on would be, how do we populate Mendeley library based upon the historic information that you have, as well as when you get new data that you would be working on, how do we populate the library and build the library? There are 7 different methods or approaches that I would be walking you all through. And then whenever we are working with research papers, with thesis, different manuscripts, and submitting our research paper to different journals, we need to manage the citations. Now, when I talk about managing, it is A, dependent on the writing style of the researcher or the author, and B, based upon the requirement for different journals. I will walk you through with some of these perspectives. How do we use in-text citations, and how do we use the end text citation? And then I will walk you through something on the how do we manage the library? For example, if you have some duplicates, how do you manage it? When you're having the desktop version versus the cloud version, how do we synchronize the library between the two? When we are working with multiple types of citations, okay, predominantly for this session, I will be making use of the APA style, which is the American Psychological Association style used in social sciences management domain. But there are various citation styles which are being used based upon the type of requirements. So what I mean by the type of requirements is, different journals within the same domain might be having different styles, like Chicago style, Harvard style. How do we move from one style to the other style is what I will be describing about. It can be done easily and quickly by making use of the reference management. How do we edit the styles? How do we import and export the different library items? And at the end, what I would also cover is, based upon the... Does somebody have a question? Can I request everybody to go on mute? Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ramesh, for muting everyone. Okay, so what I would also be touching base is some brief related with Mendeley site, and some specific changes related to Mendeley Desktop versus the Mendeley Reference Manager, and how do we use them. The prime difference between the two, as I was explaining to somebody on the call now, was, as far as Mendeley Desktop is concerned, it is a desktop version wherein all the library items and everything that you work with is stored locally on the drive. Whereas with the Mendeley Reference Manager, it is a cloud version, and the interface it uses is like an Internet Explorer style of interface, and all information that you have is stored on the cloud version. but we can always use both of them because the library, what it uses is based upon your user account that you have created with Mendeley. Okay, and then what I would do is I will open up the forum for questions at two different times. One is once I brief about the citations and referencing style, and before I get into how do we populate the Mendeley library, I will open it up for questions, and then once I complete the part at the end, again I will open it up for questions. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please do post it on the chat box. We have Dr. Ramesh with us, and who will be helping me out in case of any questions comes in. You can always raise them while I progress. Dr. Ramesh, can you quickly confirm whether I'm audible and you can see my slides before I actually begin with? Dr. Ramesh?
Sir, everything is perfect.
It's perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, now the first thing is, how do I get rid of this? I have, okay, I'll move it in some other place. Okay, the first and foremost thing is the importance of referencing. Why is there so much of focus on referencing? Okay. The first is to maintain the international standards. Now, typically what this means is whenever we are writing our research papers, our manuscript or the thesis, we need to comply with the requirements. These requirements comes in various forms. Typically, you need to follow those standards, what we talk about, based upon the objective of writing our research paper, manuscript, or research proposals. To obey the copyrights and the IPRs, as well as to give the moral as well as ethical credit to the owner. So we can't just copy and paste from any source and put it in our manuscript. There are specific methods of making use of the academic writing. And that is something that I will be focusing today more on in order to make sure that we give the adequate credit to the owner. For example, if I'm using some model or I'm using some statistical analysis by making use of some of the recommended values, I need to give credit to the owner. And I would make use of that as part of my research paper. Similarly, to gain attention in the research community. Having said that, can this be done manually? Of course, we can always write the citations manually, include all of them in the referencing section. All this could be done manually, but it's a mammoth task. There are a lot of typing required, and this would typically go with the type of papers or the thesis that you're writing in for. For example, if I want to submit my PhD thesis, it would have typically anything between 200 to 300 references. In order to manage them is a mammoth task if it is done manually. I have been conducting a lot of these sessions from multiple domains, including pharmacy, including social sciences, management, including non-management areas as well. And scholars have come back and saying that we have to do a lot of this typing work if we do not use the citation or the references management software. And again, there could be a lot of mistakes done. If you want to switch between one to the other form, it's again a mammoth task. For example, if I want to submit my research paper in one of the journals which uses APA style, and I want to move from APA to say Harvard or to Chicago style, I have to reformat my whole manuscript. And typically a manuscript could be anything between 50 to 100 references what we would cite in for. So these mistakes are very, very critical in order to make sure that the in-text citation and the end-text citations match. Any mismatch between them will lead to the research papers being desk rejected. Okay, and similarly, it could then when we discuss about the referencing style, there are various referencing styles. For example, predominantly in the management domain, we use the APA style, but that's not the only style. Psychology domain will have a different style, and similarly, different journals would expect different styles, and these are the way by which it has been developed. Harvard style, even when we talk about law domain, they would have a different style. In pharmaceutical, they use a different style. So within each of them, there are too many styles that we need to work on. So in order to switch from one to the other is again a big mammoth task. I will demonstrate some of them by taking examples. For example, if you want to publish in A-star journal or A category ABDC journals, they've got specific requirements, the way the referencing should be used for. So you need to comply with that. And with these too many referencing styles and too many changes happening from one journal to the other journal, you need to do it quickly. So the focus area should be more on the research rather than on the referencing style. Referencing style should come in, naturally by default, by which you should be automate everything rather than spending too much amount of time in this. The reference management tool, which helps the scholars to create and manage the list of references. So that means I can have a list rather than documenting them in Excel file and all. I can use a library within the reference management. It is designed to organize the citations into specific formats, like what I'm talking about, the APA format. I could use a specific format by which it can be organized for. In certain cases, they are to be done on an alphabetical basis, or there are numbered referencing styles. So all this is something which could be done easily by making use of the reference management software. And it provides a way to download the references into reference management software. So for example, you all would have joined this session today about the systematic literature. When you're doing SLR, or if you are working on meta-analysis, you need to be working on a large number of research paper in order to identify, download them, and to do the scoping. Like you learned about the Prisma approach or any other approach that you use for the SLR or for the meta-analysis, you need to download thousands of papers. Now, how do you do that quickly and organize them? You could make use of a reference management. For all practical purposes, as I said, for today's scope, I will be using APA referencing style, but if you've got any specific style that you want me to demonstrate to you, I will be more than happy to do that. If you're using APA, you must refer to the 7th edition, the publication manual of the American Psychological Association. This is the style which was introduced, the 7th edition was introduced in 2019. So prior to 2019, it was a 6th edition, which was available for almost a decade before the previous version. So hence, make sure that you use the latest version, which is the 7th edition. This manual lists about everything related to your research papers. For example, journal articles, it could be the web pages, it could be any picture objects on how you should be citing them. The different citation norms are being listed in detail as part of this publication manual. So if you've got any specific queries, please always refer to this publication manual. Don't just go by hearsay. Let me take an example while I demonstrate for this. Now, if this is a research paper published in one of the premium journals by a publisher is Emerald. So in Emerald, this is the paper by the name Why Customers Make Mobile Payments Applying a Means and Chain Approach. I'm the first author, followed by the second author. And the name of the journal is Marketing Intelligence and Planning. So whenever you access any research paper, this is what you would typically get for in your web browser. So what do we look in for the information whenever we access any of the research papers? First is the author or the authors. There could be one author or multiple authors, those who have contributed to this research paper. And then what is the date of publication? Followed by what is the title of publication, which is the name of your research article. Followed by what is the source of publication. The source of publication would be the name of the journal, followed by in which volume, which issue number, and which page number it is. So these are critical things for any referencing style that we use it for. So I'm taking very generic in order to explain about the referencing style. Now, if you're using an APA style, there is a specific norm, the way it has to be cited for. And that's the way, that means if I take the same example, my full name is Raja Sankaran, followed by the second author as Shivashish Chakrabarti. The way it has to be written in the research paper or in the article, manuscript, or a thesis, if you're using an APA style, would be exactly in this way. So that means it will have, the first is the authors. Now note this, the author is always last name followed by a comma followed by the first name of the first author initials followed by an ampersand, and the second author in the same way, last name comma initials of the first name, and then the year of publication comes in the brackets, again a full stop, then would be the title of the research paper followed by the source or the journal in which it is published, followed by the volume and the issue number and the page number. So what this typically means is, when we talk about the volume, is the very first year when the journal started publishing, it would be volume number 1. Second year would be volume 2. The third year would be volume 3, like this. So that means this journal has been existing for 39 years based upon the volume that we are referring to. Next, followed by the issue number. Now, this is based upon the periodicity of publication in that particular journal. Some journals might publish once in every quarter. So in that case, they will have the issue as 1, 2, 3, and 4 if it is one every quarter. Some could have every month, some could have once in 6 months. So accordingly, the periodicity would change. So this would indicate about the issue number in which this particular research paper can be found, followed by the page number of this issue number of this volume in which it is published. And the last is the DOI. DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. Now, you must publish your research papers which has a DOI. Please do not publish them if you are into academics, or if you are a research scholar. Do not publish if you do not get any DOI number, irrespective of the type of domain that you are in. DOI ensures that it can be uniquely identified. Hence, it is known as a digital object identifier. Only with this particular DOI, I can access my research paper. I will show you how to use that, how to quickly search and install or create a library item in Mendeley as well. I will demonstrate few of this in a while. I'm first going to the concept so that we all are at the same page. We all understand about the way the citations needs to be looked into. Now, instead of using an APA style, if you're using any other style, something could be different. Instead of using the year in brackets, it could use a different format. Instead of using the name of the journal in italics, it could be in double quotes, or the name of the title could be in double quotes. All these are again referenced by the way the referencing style is. In certain cases, you might also find VOL dot followed by the volume number, and similarly for issue number as well as the page number. So this typically goes with the referencing style, but these are something common across the board that we need to make use of, irrespective of the type of referencing style that we use. So author, year, title, source, the volume, issue, page number, and the DOI are a must whenever you want to refer to any of the research papers. Something equivalent or similar would be in case of a web page, or for example, if you want to refer to somebody's thesis or some other work, like a secondary data or a report that you want to make use of, there are different styles or different approaches similarly that you need to use them for. Okay. Now, having given this as an introduction, now whenever we work with the data, there is nowadays what we see is it's an exponential growth of data. You all might be familiar with what the kilobytes, megabytes, or gigabytes is. But if we actually look into the type of data that exists today, it is quite mammoth. We talk in terms of, so this data is something of 2020, wherein the growth of data or the data volume, what we see on the y-axis is something in zettabytes. ZB stands for zettabytes, which is equivalent to 10 to the power 21. But it's just what it was last year. In the next few years, what we'll be talking about is in yottabytes. That's the kind of growth what we see. For example, if you look into something from, say, 2015 to 2020, within a span of 5 years, it has grown exponentially from 8 to 40. zettabytes. It's not too far by which it will grow further. Look from a researcher's or an academic point of view. We all as a researcher need to identify what sort of data that we need to use, how do we use them, and how effectively would I be able to use them, rather than simply spending too much amount of time in all these. So the biggest challenge with a research scholar is to identify the data and to make use of it effectively. Okay, this translates to the Moore's law. Those who are into semiconductors and all, you might be familiar with the Moore's law. What Moore's predicted was saying that the amount of data would actually, he came up with into the semiconductor, the number of devices that could be seen in a processor, for example, that would double every 2 years. If we draw an analogy, something similar with Moore's law, it indicates that the amount of data in the world would double every 2 years. So that's the kind of mammoth growth of what we are seeing. Now, what kind of challenges does it face? The data would be fragmented. I hope you all understand what fragmentation means, as well as the data becomes unusable. Now, what metadata is, I will just explain it in a while, which are nothing but the physical properties of the file that we look into, which could be effectively used as part of whenever we want to cite them. The data is, again, quite diverse as well as fragmented. What I can use as part of my research or my thesis could be, any of these modes. It's not just only a research paper or a research article. It could come in scripts, the different codes. It could be different picture objects, the methods, protocols, processed or unprocessed data, which are the raw data. So there are a variety of things what could be used in by a research scholar for. Hence, it should be something which is manageable. So what we talk about is a FAIR principle. What it stands for is the data that exists for should be something which is findable. That means you should be able to search and appropriately tag them. It should be accessible. I hope you all understand what open source means. So, and interoperable formats. It should not be something which is like, if I use a particular software, I can't port it into any other system in case I want to upgrade, move from one to the other system. Nowadays, we talk about interoperability, by which I can use my laptop or a desktop, multiple operating systems on a mobile phone or an iPad or a system. So it should be interoperable from any of these space. Okay, and reusable. So that means whether it is of licensed, is it freely available, or do I need to buy it? What kind of quality does it offers for? So these are some of the principles what it follows for in order to make use of this. Now, what is Mendeley? Mendeley is a software which is an academic software available free of cost. That means we all can easily go to the site and download it. And Mendeley is a software which is provided by the publishing house Elsewhere. Elsewhere is a UK-based organization which is a publishing house which has got thousands of research journals what it publishes worldwide, and they are one of the premium publishing house. And it is a software which is available from Elsewhere free of cost. It is cross-platform. That means the interface is something similar, whether you use a desktop version, a web version, whether you use it on a Windows operating system, an iOS or Linux. And it is interoperable as well. So it will use the same library, which could be synchronized with the cloud version. Irrespective of the place from where you access it, you will still be able to get the same data. It is also compatible with all major browsers. Okay. As I said, I've already given this as part of the prerequisite for this workshop for everyone to install, download, and configure the system. It's very brief. Within a minute, I will cover this. So whenever you access it, it takes you to this particular page wherein you can download the software and then install it. Once you've installed it, go to the Mendeley site and create a free account. Now, why do you need to create an account is so that anything that you have on your desktop is actually synchronized. The library gets synchronized with the cloud version, and that remains with Elsewhere or Mendeley. Hence, it is critical for you to ensure that you create a free account and synchronize it on regular basis. So once you have created a free account, sign in with that user account and always make sure that you sign in. Now, what I would do is I'll quickly show you how do I use it. So whenever you open your Mendeley Desktop, you should be able to find in here under the file menu, it says that I have already signed in with my user account. So this gives a validation that my user account is created and that I have signed in to the desktop using this user account. Okay, that's for the signing in. And how do you do that? When you go into mendeley.com, you create a user account and then sign in the cloud version or the online version in order to check this. Okay, so this is the installation of what you install the download and install the Mendeley Desktop. What Mendeley has also come out with is a reference manager. The only difference between the two versions is the Mendeley Desktop is something which has been existing for a number of years, and elsewhere is no longer investing or going in for upgrades of this. So the last version that we have, how do we find that is, if we go into the help option under the desktop, you'll find about Mendeley. 1.19.8 was the last version what they have come out with. This was during 2020. So now elsewhere is focusing more on all the upgrades and using the latest technological perspective as part of their reference manager. And the reference manager is now compatible with the Internet Explorer style of interface. Now, why they have done it? Because the technology itself is changing. The way what we used to do with operating system as well as the Microsoft Word. Now we are having 2016 and 2019 versions of Microsoft Word, which has got a different concept compared to what it was in the older versions. Hence, their the scripts which are required in order to work with are totally different. So I'll be touching base on some of these concepts as part of the workshop today as well. Okay, and then you would get this once you log in, you would get welcome to the Mendeley. And Mendeley also offers various data sets. These data sets are something that research scholars have published as part of their research articles and manuscripts. And they have a particular repository, which is a cross domain. So for example, in today's world, you want to identify some of the data related with, say, COVID-19. You can always go to the Mendeley site and then look for the ones which are relevant for your research, whether any sort of such data set exists. You can always make use of them as a secondary data. Then comes, why do we need to choose a reference manager? It's so that you can collect the citations as well as the full text articles. Now, what does it mean? Whenever you want to cite in your research paper or in your thesis or manuscript, you can collect all this information in one place. You can also have the full text articles. That means instead of storing them on your different folders in PC, you can store them within your library as part of the reference manager as well. You can read, annotate, cite from one place. So what typically this means is we all have a habit of downloading a particular research paper, taking a printout, marking them, the ones which are relevant. For example, if I find some statistical analysis or I want to quote some paper which I found it to be very useful, I would have some sheet of paper or I would scribble down somewhere or have my own notes or a write on the same, rather than doing all of this and searching for information. Because typically what happens in a research, it is something which takes 6 months to a year for a research to be completed, or even more for that matter. So I may not recollect what I read 6 months ago or a year ago, but I want to cite them as part of my research paper. So how do I use that? So I can always annotate them. Within the reference manager, it has got this option by which you can highlight a particular text. You can have your own comments as well from within there. So all this information makes it much easier for a scholar. You can also share references with the co-authors. So for example, if two of us are working on a particular research, so rather than me doing everything and another person also duplicating it, one of us can always do the work and share it with the other, or both can do in portions, and then that could be merged together. All these options can be used with respect to the citations and the references. You can also access the research across from multiple devices. As I said, now we are talking about interoperability between multiple systems, multiple operating systems. I can do it from anywhere. I can do it from home, or when I'm in my university, I can always access them. edit the reference style for publishing in various journals and conferences. So whenever we are submitting our research paper or our manuscript to the journals, you must always refer to the guide for authors. That gives you the complete listing of the information of what is acceptable by a particular journal, the format what it expects, and you must format your manuscript exactly based upon the same way. Similarly, if you're having your thesis or your research proposal that you want to submit to your university, they have a specified format that has to be exactly met with. And similarly for the conferences, when you participate and present them in a conference, you need to meet with those standard guidelines of what referencing style to be used in for. I will be demonstrating some of them when I come into the actual workability for it. You can also share the annotations with the collaborators or the wider field. You can store all of them in one place, and all this is available free. You do not have to pay whenever you want to use the Mendeley as a reference manager. There are other reference managers which are available, for example, either paid, subscription based, or free of cost. There are many of them available, but the key advantage with Mendeley would be something which is from a known publisher, which is an established publisher elsewhere, rather than using any freeware for that matter. And it is for academic writing, which is available free. Okay, so let me quickly pause here for a few minutes. If there are any questions, please do ask before I actually go into how do we build the library. I will open up the forum for the questions. If anybody has got any questions from what I have covered till now.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This is Subbareddy from Lakredi College of Engineering. Is it?
Sorry, I missed your name. Can you repeat your name?
This is Zonal Subbareddy, sir, from Lakredi College of Engineering.
Subbareddy from?
Lakredi College of Engineering.
College of Engineering. Okay, perfect. Yes, yes, please. What's your question?
For desktop version, is it like internet is required, sir, or can we use offline also?
You can use it offline. That's the advantage with the desktop version. You don't need to be connected always online.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Because why? Because everything is there as part of your desktop. Your library item are stored on the desktop. Any research papers that you have are also stored within your library item, what it identifies. But only thing is, in order to make sure that the same, this is what I'm referring to as library items, what we see here. I've got around 3,200 different research papers as part of my Mendeley library. And whenever you want, you can always work offline, but if you're connected to the internet, in order to make sure that it is synchronized with the cloud version, you can manually synchronize them as well. So this is the button what you see on the panel where you can synchronize it. Otherwise, by default, whenever you open them, you can synchronize from desktop to the cloud version or cloud version to the desktop. Both of them are applicable.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good question, Subbarao. I think. Yes, Subbareddy, sorry. Yes. Good question. Typically, what we need to make sure that information is available rather than being connected always online. Yeah.
Sir, one more simple question, sir. Like for deleting duplicate files, can we do it some all at once, sir?
Now, I will come into it a bit later on. When I actually demonstrate how do we find the duplicate entries and how do we decide which one to delete and which one that we should not delete. I will come into that a bit later on.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
That will be sometimes towards the end of this session when I will, after I go ahead with how do we build the library, how do we cite them, referencing styles to be used. At the end, I will cover some of these options. Yeah, please to remind me if I don't. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay. I'll take it as no, it's a silence. I will continue further onto this. So this is how do we build the library? There are 7 different approaches. What I will do is I'll quickly walk you through with this approach, and then I will start with the software Mendeley in order to demonstrate them how do we do that. The first is manually, which is typically used for older material. That means you have already downloaded some of the research papers, you already have some of the listing with you, 50, 100 of them, and you want to add them to your library, then you could always make use of this in order to manually add them. Second is database transfer. Now, this is very, very useful whenever you want to do a bulk upload. For example, if you want to, if you search on, say, Scopus, Web of Science, or Science Direct, or any such, even in Emerald, Taylor and Francis, any of those publishers' website, whenever you search for any of the keywords, it would result in some 50s, hundreds, and thousands of such result or the research articles. Rather than picking and choosing them one by one, you want to do a bulk upload of them. That is possible. Or if you're using something like a systematic literature review, or if you're using a meta-analysis wherein you have hundreds and thousands of research papers that you want to add on to your library, that could be possible by making use of this. I will also quickly demonstrate on how do we do that. The next is drag and drop. For this, it uses metadata. Now, what does it mean? You all are familiar with the physical properties of a particular file. For example, if I look into the paper, what I'm currently, or if I will just make use of this presentation slide, what I'm presenting now. When you right click on it and choose the properties, it will show you the physical properties associated with this particular file. So it has got a title, it has got a subject, it has got, who the author is, as well as what is the program name. So, all these information, this is what is known as metadata. So similarly, with every PDF file, you must have this metadata in order to do a drag and drop. The word of caution is the way or the source from where you are downloading your research paper should be authentic. In that case, you will get this correct information. Otherwise, you might find either incorrect information if you have downloaded from a not authentic source. I won't go into those details, but you should know which are authentic and which are not. For example, if you're accessing from, say, a Science Direct or Scopus, you must have a login credentials by which you should be able to log in and download those research papers. Those are authentic sources. In that case, you will get much higher correct data with respect to the metadata information. But if it is not from an authentic source, you might get all sort of junk characters or incorrect information. So you have to be very, very cautious. I will demonstrate it when I show this. Okay? And then web importer is while browsing on the web page. Whenever the web page results with, so you give a search criteria wherein it will result with a lot of information, you can easily make use of this in order to, create a library item. The next option is watch folder. Now, this is very useful. So typically what happens is we might be browsing from different sites and we might be downloading in a particular folder. So whenever we download any research paper in a folder, we can identify that particular folder to be watched by Mendeley. And then it will keep on watching that whenever a new entry is made. For example, I download a research paper, a PDF file into that particular folder, it will automatically add into the library item. So we don't have to physically go and do anything else. You could make use of the .ris or the BibTeX. So again, I will demonstrate this with an example of what BibTeX is all about. It uses a different protocol or the grammar, if I may say, in order to create this. Since I know what it is, but I will quickly demonstrate what it is all about and how do we use it. Similarly, .ris is something which could be interoperable from one version to the other version of the software. For example, if you're using any other reference management software, you want to port from Mendeley to the others or other to Mendeley, you could always make use of a .ris or a BibTeX file. And then rather than doing manually something like this or doing a drag and drop, you also have an option by which you can add multiple files or even the complete folder into Mendeley. Okay, now how do we use the reference manager? I'll quickly go through each one of them. Okay, so what you need to do as part of now is I will start from the beginning. You open the Mendeley Desktop. Okay, so it should open up this if you're not sure what you are using for, whether you're using the right tool and all, what I would suggest you to do is go into, you should find this on the, the title bar as Mendeley Desktop. If you go into the help about Mendeley Desktop, it should give you the version. So this would indicate about the type of Mendeley Desktop that you have installed as part of the system. That is number one. Okay, and then once you open it up, what you will get is the structure is something similar to a Windows Explorer. So you would find on the left side as My Library, which is the folders in a hierarchical format. So you'll find all documents recently added, recently read, up to this unsorted. Okay, the rest are the different folders that I have created. Similar to what you do with Windows Explorer, you can also create multiple folders and organize them. I will come into this a bit later on how do we organize it. And then you would also have something like create folder as well as external library entries. Okay, and in the middle pane, you might get it to be empty as of now, but I have lots of these based upon what I've been using it for a while. Okay, so I have a lot of these information that I have stored as part of my Mendeley library. Now, how do we use them is I will go through the features first, and then I will start demonstrating about how do we create an item. Okay, all documents, if I select this, it will show me irrespective of the type of folder that I'm using it, everything as part of the library will be displayed here. And I can select any one of them in order to look at the properties. So what I would see in this middle pane is as soon as I select any of them, you will also see the total numbers of the selection as well as the total numbers of library item that exist as part of my Mendeley. I've got 3,200 items, which includes books, research papers, some of the secondary information as well. So for each of them, whenever I select a particular one, what it shows, the very first column is with a star. So this indicates whether I can add them as favorites. You understand what favorites are? So when there are some papers which I might use it very often, I can mark them as favorite. And as soon as I do that, it will go into this particular folder as favorites. The next is whether I have read or not. So that it's shown by this green color. The third column, what I see is, if, for example, in this case, what I see is there is no icon. So that means it's just a library entry which does not have a file attached to it. The first one, what I see is, it has got a particular PDF symbol or an icon. With this icon, it indicates that I have got a file attached to this library item. How do I find that is? If I go into this, it shows which file, what file it is. I can open the file as well. I can simply double click here or I can click here. Either of them are applicable for. I can open this file, this research paper, and then I can get into details about each one of them. And the next followed by the authors. Now, this follows a specified format whenever we make an entry. I'll just demonstrate this when I actually add them. Followed by the title of the research paper, the year when it was published, and the source, published in which particular journal, followed by when was it added, the date when this particular entry was added in this library. Okay, all this information is then listed. I can also pick and choose. I can get the details. So let me show the first one, which is about securing interim payments in construction projects through a blockchain-based framework. So in order to find the properties associated with this particular entry, I can go into the details tab page, which shows what type it is. Like it is a journal article with the title of the page, who the authors are. Okay, the journal, year, all these are editable fields. The abstract followed by the tags, author keywords, citations, publisher, the URL, the digital object identifier. I can also associate it with a particular file. And all this information are something which are user configurable, which could be customized by or entered by the user. I can look into additional properties, and any notes that I can use, I can always use this. I can also use it for annotations as well. Okay, and then the contents. So all this information is pertaining to a particular entry in the library item, which could be found in file. The other type of information that I could have here is I can use filter condition. For example, in this, what I showed is 3,200 articles. So instead of them, what I want to use is I want to filter them by a specific author or an author keyword or my tags or publication. Okay, my tags are something which are created by the researcher. So for any of the research papers, you can always create the tags. Okay. Which could be used in order to use it as a search condition. Author keywords you all understand, because every research paper would have the keywords listed in there. Citation key is something which is again configurable by the researcher, wherein you specify this key. This could be used whenever you want to cite a particular library item as part of your Microsoft Word. There are different options. I find this citation to be the easiest to use and for. I will also demonstrate on how do we use them. Okay, so you can always filter by a specific author. By default, it shows all. For example, I want to see all the research papers which are published by, say, David Aker. He is the one who has conceptualized about the brand equity, consumer-based brand equity model. And so I can identify all the entries that I have pertaining to a particular author, or the one which is by Jennifer author, his daughter. Okay, she's also a research professor in the US. So I can always look of information based upon the library item that I have. We can choose a particular one which will show all the entries pertaining to a particular author. I can filter by author or author keywords, or filter by publications as well. For example, I want to list down all the research papers I have for, say, strategic management journal. As part of my library, I've got 4 of these items listed here. Or structural equation modeling. Okay, in this particular journal, I've got a lot of these research papers. How many? 12 of them. So by this way, I can filter down. For example, whenever I want to write a research paper for a particular journal, I want to look for the relevant information pertaining to that journal before I can publish it, or I can send my manuscript for publication in the journal. So I could make use of these kind of information in order to understand about the relevance related to my research paper. Okay. There are some more features that I will walk you through a bit later on. For example, if you see details are correct and all, this I will demonstrate in a moment about these features. So I'll keep updating on regular basis about these. Another one, what it has, this kind of icon, apart from the PDF or the blank, you would also find something like this. So what this indicates is this particular entry is associated with a particular research article, and I have an access to it by which I can download it, or whether the link is broken. So I get a lot of this information by which I can easily make out whether the link is available. I have tried to upload it, I have moved it somewhere, whether the PDF exists, it does not exist, whether it is allowing me to download it, or whether the link is broken. Various options that we could look at. Okay, so that's all about interface, about the look and feel associated with this. It also has got a search option by which I can also search from my entire library. You've got this here, this set search place where you can type in, for example, I want to find all related with, say, mobile payments. So it searches for this and gives me a result. Okay, I can find a result for mobile payment in all documents. You want to search in a specific one, you can also choose a specific folder or a subfolder and then use a search criteria. It is something similar to the Windows Explorer that we use as part of our operating system. So all those features are available in here. I can also clear them in order to clear the result and go back to the place. Okay, so this is all about the interface. And apart from this, the different panes, what we also see is the menu option, file menu with the multiple options in here, edit, view, tools, and help. Okay, what we have seen is about Mendeley Desktop, which gives in the version information. I also covered this. For those who missed out, I will just quickly repeat it. Whenever you're updating your library items, you want to use for referencing and citation as part of your Microsoft Word. In the case, you might need to install the MS Word plugin. Similarly, if you're using a web browser, in order to make sure that whenever you browse through search results and you want to update as part of your library item, you can also install the web importer. So these are the things that you should install as part of this session. Okay, and then we've got options like add files under the file menu, add files folder, watch folder. I will go through each one of them one by one. Okay, so let me stop here and see if there are any questions related to what we have seen about the look and feel about the software.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Sir, is there any limit or number of articles that we can store in Mendeley Desktop or cloud version, or it is unlimited?
Okay, good question. Shalini, is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good question. Now, if you're using the Mendeley Desktop, it creates all the library items locally on your hard disk. You can also specify in which folder and in which particular directory that it should, or a drive that it should create for. So the limitation with respect to the Mendeley Desktop will be limited to your hard disk free space. Okay, are you with me, Shalini?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, so when you go into tools, you can go into the options. Here you have got where you want to organize everything. Okay, here you can say copy the files into, by default it is the documents folder. Wherever you have installed the software, under the documents Mendeley Desktop, so it will save everything here. You can also open them, you can also sort them. Okay, sorting means when you save a particular file, what name should it be given? Should it have multiple subfolders or not? For example, I will show it here. So under Mendeley Desktop, I've got all these which are stored. So anything which I see here in the interface. So for example, if I go in and see a particular icon, okay, like this, when I double click on it, or if I try to open it, how does it know where it is stored? Okay, it picks up from this under the documents, under the Mendeley Desktop. It picks up the file from here where it is. So the limitation will be to the physical or free space availability of the hard disk. Okay, having said that, whenever you are synchronizing it with the cloud version, all your PDF files are not saved there. It is saved in the local desktop version. Okay, so that only your library items will be saved in the synchronized version, in the cloud version. So the advantage would be that the cloud will have a limitation with respect to the size availability. Whereas in your physical one, it is, you can always have a hard disk and then keep expanding to, I don't know, 500 GB or 1 TB or 2 TB. So a lot of space are available from the desktop point of view. Whereas cloud, it's all limited, because of which you cannot simply store each and every research paper that you have. So that could create a limitation. I think it is around 500 MB or something, if I'm right. This sort of information will be available in the Mendeley website. So the cloud version will always have a limitation with respect to the size availability. Yeah.
Okay, so sir, by taking the subscription of paid version, can we increase the size of cloud?
Yeah, there are some of these options available for.
Okay.
You should be able to use it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Please speak a bit louder. Your voice was not audible.
Sir, is there any difference between Mendeley Desktop and Mendeley Reference Manager, sir?
Yeah, that's what I explained, no? Your desktop is the version which is 1.19.8, and it is predominantly for a desktop only, whereas the reference manager is a cloud version. So they have come up with a newer version, which is an interface totally different than the desktop. And for that reference manager, it does not store on the local desktop. It uses the cloud repository as the library item. Okay, that's a typical difference.
Same features as desktop, no, sir? Reference manager.
No, these are two separate applications, so everything is not the same. Okay, for example, if I talk about the watch folders, it is something specific available in Mendeley Desktop. And there are some features, for example, if I want to do merging of multiple citations, I will demonstrate that when I come into citing them and using them in Microsoft Word. There are some peculiar features which are definitely available in desktop. And as I said, all upgrades are happening as part of the reference manager. This might be available in future as well in the reference manager. Okay, so but these are two separate applications. You must always consider it like this. Yeah.
Thanks.
Alok, Mohan, you've got a question? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I am audible, right?
Yeah, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I just want to know, like, we need to have the license version. At least we should have the access to the publishers like Scopus or Emerald receiver. So using that, we can sync up and download the articles.
Correct.
Suppose
Correct.
we have a article. Suppose I receive an article paper from a friend and stored it in my desktop. Can I sync up with this Mendeley software, Mendeley Desktop version?
What do you mean by sync up?
I mean, sync up in a sense that it can appear in the same interface.
Yeah.
It is possible.
If you have sourced a particular research paper, you can always, for example, if you have downloaded from somewhere or you have sourced it from your friend, you can always add an entry into the Mendeley Desktop. So you can use either of the approaches. I will just demonstrate each of these approaches. What I showed you here about, I will go through all the 7 different methods. So you can always use either manually, or you can do, adding files and folders. You can use or drag and drop. Either of the 3 approaches could be used for in specific scenario that you talked about.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, I guess no. I will continue further in the demonstration purpose now. Okay, so first I will start with the manual approach. So that means, how do you add something manually? Okay. Now, why is there a need to add manually? Something what was mentioned by, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, the previous gentleman who asked this question. Okay. Or if you are for okay, or if you are, for example, going into, say, Google Scholar. Okay, typically that's what we do. Say we go to a Google Scholar and you do a search. Say I do with mobile payments. Okay, I search for this. I find, okay, this is something by, say, I'll just pick up something in random, which I don't have as part of my, okay, say this one, trends in mobile payments. I don't think I have this as part of my library. So Journal of Innovation Management. Okay, I'm picking up one. Now in this, you will also find this double quotes, which indicates what is the different citation styles. You've got MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver, different information available for how the styles are used. You must note the way that they are mentioned, and some with double quotes, some without double quotes, some in italics, some without italics, some with having number, VOL, dot, something, all those has to be exactly met with. Now if I use something similar to this, how do I manually add them? Okay, I will take this typical example. So when I use this, say it is what, okay, I'll go slowly one by one in order to add this. I will just do a copy into my notepad. I will make use of this, for example. Okay, now what I have is, the author's name is Dennis Dennehy, is the first author, followed by David Salmon as the second author. In order to add this manually in Mendeley, now what I will also do is I'll create a folder for today. I will say go into create folder. I will give it a name, say demo Atal. Today is 8th of November 2021. So for today, I will do everything in here so that it becomes easier. What I will do is I'll say add file, add an entry manually. Either I could use something like this, add entry manually, or I can go into the file menu and say add entry manually. Both options are applicable. From this drop down, you choose what type of entry you want to make. Okay, by default, it might show the research article. And what is the title? Okay, for the title, go back here. I can say trends in mobile research. Okay, I'll just do a copy and I will paste it here. Okay, then who the authors are. Now, whenever you click on this, it says last name, comma, first name. Now, this is a caution you need to use for. You must always use the complete name. Okay, for example, Dennis Denhi. I'll just do a copy and paste here. Now, what does it mean? It uses Denhi as the last name, comma, the first name as Dennis. Otherwise, I can also type in as Dennis, D-E-N-H-E-Y. I think it is correct. Yeah, D-E-N-N-H-E-Y. Okay, now as soon as I do that, when I press an enter key, it reformats itself. Okay, I'll just repeat it. If I say Dennis, D-E-N-N-H-E-Y, I'm using first name without a comma, the last name. I press an enter key, it understands it, it reformats as soon as I press an enter key. For example, my name is Raja Sankaran. As soon as I type in this, my first name is Raja, last name is Sankaran. I press an enter key, it reformats itself. So by this, it knows what is the correct name. The word of caution is never type only like this. Otherwise, if you're changing from one style to the other style, wherein it requires the complete expanded form of the names, you might get into trouble. So irrespective of the type of style that you use in for, make sure that you use the complete name of the author in the format of last name, comma, the first name, or first name followed by the last name, press an enter key, it will reformat itself. It is intelligent enough in order to understand this. Okay. And similarly, the next one, so I will use exactly the same. So what I would do is I'll press an enter here. So it understands this, and David Sam. Okay, so two authors. The journal, name of the journal, which is Trends, the Journal of Innovation Management is the name of the journal. Okay, the year is 2015. Okay, volume number is 1. The volume number is 3, issue number is 1, and the page number is 49-61, and I say save. So it has saved this information. Okay, this is one method of manually entering all this information. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go back to this place where I have searched for this information. Now the only thing is all the information that you see here should be correct and authentic, or it could be done. For example, one of you said if your friend has shared, you can always make use of this sort of citations from one place to the other wherein you can manually add them. So this is how you could manually add this information here. Minimize this. Okay, now this is one way. The second method of doing it is, as part of this, I have also shared the APA reference, which gives in a reference like this with a DOI number, or you can use any of them. Okay, any of the existing research papers you can use as an example. I will use this DOI and demonstrate to you how quickly can I update it. Okay, for example, I create another one file. I can add an entry manually. So rather than typing everything, what I can do is I can simply go to the DOI. In this particular field, I paste the DOI number. You'll see an hourglass or a glass icon, which is for the lookup. Click on this. As soon as you do this, all information is updated. I select save. Okay, so with the DOI information, it actually goes and searches for the information and then picks up all the relevant information based upon what is required. The title, the authors, complete expanded form, everything is now updated for. Okay, with the year of the publication, the volume number, issue number, page number, everything is updated in here. So it becomes quite easy in order to populate the library item with a DOI. So you just need a DOI by which you can quickly populate with this information. Okay, so what I have gone through now is about manually. Okay. The next is I will demonstrate about this drag and drop. So for this, let me go through to my folder. Say I've got my research papers in a particular folder. So I'll use something about cryptocurrency, the various research papers. I will arbitrarily choose something. Okay. Say something which is okay, say this particular one. of 2020, some article was published in. So to do a drag and drop, I just do drag this and drop it here. That's all I need to do. So if you receive or you're downloaded or you received any PDF file, you can simply do a drag and drop by which it will upload it in this particular library item. So you will find everything is here. Now, the word of caution is whenever you do this drag and drop, everything is based upon the metadata. The metadata is nothing but the physical properties associated with this file. If you have downloaded this research paper from an authentic source, the information that you get will be correct. Otherwise, it will be junk. Now, how could this junk be? I don't think I have anything specific to show about that, but let me see if I get something. No, this is still fine. I don't know if I have got anything that I can demonstrate as junk into this. No, this is still, these are all, I have all authentic ones, okay? So, no, all the same, okay? So typically, okay, all these are fine. Okay. Now, the only way is if you, what I mean by junk characters is if you have downloaded from some other place, either the title will be wrong, the authors will be wrong, or any of this information could be wrongly entered, or it could be just some characters that we don't understand. It will be a non-English type of characters as well. So in that case, you might need to go and physically, check this and then ensure that it is correct. This kind of activity has to be done only once at the beginning. If you're not sure, you can just double click on this. You see here, it is Muhammad Athar Nadeem. You can just go back and check. The names are correct. The title of the paper, Investigating the Adoption Factors of Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Okay, evidence from China. Then it is from Sage Open is the name of the journal with the year 2021, the volume number followed by the issue and the pages. So all this information is something which is available. It has got a DOI number as well, okay, this particular one, or you can simply copy and paste this in order to make sure that all data is correct. Okay, so you got all this information. For example, if you made any mistake, so with the DOI number, you can make all this. For example, instead of, I'll just delete some of this, or I made it say 5. I'm just typing something arbitrarily, okay? Or I made a change here in the name, okay? Or some junk character, something like this. So instead of going and opening and then doing all corrections, what I can easily do is if I have a DOI number, I just need to click on this. Okay, it will look up and say whether it is succeeded or not. As soon as it is successful, it will update all the entries here. So all the junk characters and the changes I made has been corrected with this information. So you'll find it's very, very useful in order to make sure that the correct entries are listed down. Because there is a publication cycle. If you're familiar with this, whenever we submit a research paper, it goes through the peer reviews. Once it is accepted, it goes into, before the actual publishing, it goes into their website. And it remains there for a certain point in time before the actual issue gets published. So there could be some changes that it could be brought into. So in order to make sure that all entries are correct, you can always make use of the DOI in order to look up the values and update it on a regular basis. It has to be done, as I said, once whenever you are making an entry. Okay, so that is about how do we do the drag and drop. For what it uses the metadata. Same, the next option could be, I can do something like a file and add a folder, or I can go into file and add files. Either of the options could be used. So if I go back into the same folder, what I have for all my research papers related with cryptocurrency, the same folder. So we can choose a particular file. Say, for example, I choose this blockchain technology in healthcare. I choose OK, so it gets added on. Again, it goes in with the physical property. So either I can do a drag and drop, or I can choose a particular file like this. If you want to add a complete folder, I can do that as well. I can choose add folder, and say, for example, I choose the same one, which has got the cryptocurrency and the research papers. Now I've got multiple subfolders as well as part of this. And I can pick and choose and say, should I include the subfolders, all the information from the subfolders or not? I can make that kind of selection as well. I'm not doing it now because it contains a lot of, I got something like how many research papers or items in this folder. I got 181 in this. It will take a while, so I'm not clicking OK, but that's what you could do in order to update this. That means add all the files which are part of a particular folder or a subfolder into the library. So this is the third what I have. I've gone through manually. I've gone to add files and folders as well as drag and drop. Okay. The next is by making use of the say the web importer. For that, what I will do is I will get into something say sciencedirect.com. I would search for using any keywords. Say I choose a blockchain. Okay, I'm just taking as an example, and it will list down a lot of these. Okay. Now it also lists me whether I have an access to that particular I have an access or not. So for example, in the first one, what I see here, it says user experience, there is no PDF file. The second one, it says it's an open access and it gives me the PDF file as well. So there are such kind of options that could be used in for based upon the access an individual has. Okay, I can show something similar. I think this question was asked by somebody today. Based upon the access that an individual has. Now, whenever I want to make use of this in order to import in my library item, what I can do is I should have this installed, the Mendeley web importer. Click on this. I will demonstrate with the first one. Okay, I would sign in with my user account. Something is not working in here. Okay. Sign in with my user account and the password for Mendeley. Okay, I'm logging in now. Now in the library, I could say okay, I've got various ones created in here. Now, in order to make sure that what I could also do is when I click on this particular button, it'll show me from this particular page. What I see is 7,000 results when I did just blockchain. Okay, out of the 7,000 results, it goes page by page. I can choose 25 to be displayed, 50 or 100. Then I can go after page 1 to page 2 to page 3. So all that I see as part of this page, it has picked up. So 25 is what I've selected. It shows me 25 of these. If I choose 100, I can always go back into this and make this kind of updates in here. Let me close this. Okay, say I have selected 100. So it shows me 100 such articles as part of this result. And then I go back into here. I just need to refresh this. Just give me a moment. Okay. I'll first show you with ones, and then we will get into the next one. So the first one, for example, what I do is I'll not do a select all. If I want to upload only the first one, say the user experience, okay, which does not have any PDF file, it says PDF is not found. I can do a selection here. If you want to choose the second one as well, which has a PDF file, it says it's an open access. Okay. Now, for each of them, I can make selections. And then I can add. Where should I add this? I can choose the place. By default, it might show my library, or you can also pick and choose any existing folder or a subfolder where you want to save this sort of information here. Okay, I've got a lot of these created as demo. I'll just pick and choose any one of them, say 10th of July. I say, once I made this selection, so I've selected only one here, the user experience, which is by some Heiji Jang. I say add. Okay. Now it is now added to the library. It gives me a confirmation saying that it is done with a tick mark here. So only one is what I have added. I can go into mendeley.com. Okay, I've already logged in here. I can go into the library and okay, this is the web interface. What I'm seeing here. See, this is what it has added now. Jang Han's user experience. It has added at 3:29, which is current time. Okay, it has made an entry here. And what I could do is, it has got this button in order to synchronize between the web version or the cloud version with the Mendeley Desktop. I can also do sync in order to synchronize this, or I can go back into the Mendeley Desktop and I can do a synchronize here. Okay, so with this, what it would do is, I can get into all documents. Okay. It is doing a synchronization. So as soon as the sync is completed, I can get what was the name of the paper? Give me a sec. Science Direct. It is by User Experience Framework. Okay, so which is recently added. Okay, I can get back into here as user experience. I was typing in the wrong one. Okay, I can always look into the information. I've got a lot of items in here, so I'm trying to find that. You can look for the informations of what it has actually within the library item. Probably what I can do is I can go into the time when it was added. I can look for the information and I can see, yeah, here it is. The user experience framework for understanding user experience in blockchain services, which was added at 3:29. Okay, I've just sorted them based upon the time what it was added on. That's the only thing I did. So this one is Jang, the paper, which is, where is it here? Yeah, Jang Han. Okay. So what I see is exactly the same in this entry. I just want to make sure that the entries are correct. So what it shows here is, whenever I add any information like this, it goes in for this confirmation to indicate whether details are correct. I can do a quick review of this and see whether my information, what I have, is correct or not. If not, I can make the manual changes and make a correction. The advantage is it also has a DOI number. If I click on this button, it actually does the lookup, and any changes, what is required, it will update. If I'm happy with all of this information, I say details are correct. Otherwise, till the time, what would happen is it will simply be placed in this folder, which is needs review, and it will give this kind of button. If I'm happy with all the entry into this is, as I said, once it has to be done, I say details are correct. As soon as I do that, it will be moved out of the needs review and it will go to the appropriate folder where it has been selected for. Okay, so this is what could be done by making this selection like this. Now let me demonstrate the other way, by which I would have access to a lot of information. For example, if I say do another query as say mobile payments. Okay, I search for the information. Now I do get a lot of results here, but there are very, very, very less number of PDFs which are open text. What I will do is I will log in with my user account for the Science Direct. Okay. I will go to elsewhere Science Direct. I would log in. I will use the same keyword, say mobile payments. Okay. Now the results that I would get here is with all the PDF files. So that means I have access to these journals repository by which I should be, or publishers repository by where I can download this. Whereas in this scenario, without any logging, and I simply, connect, wherein I don't have, for example, rural, no access. Here I have the, here I have an access to. So it becomes much easier to work like this. I also have an option whether I should make use of this PDF file to download or to directly add to Mendeley. Now to add to Mendeley is the same thing. I click here. It also validates whether the access is available or not, and should I be adding them as part of my library or not. So I can make those kind of selections as part of this. Okay, that's a good option what is currently being made available for. Okay, so I've got, I can choose say demo until 2020 months since I have synchronized it. I will save in this particular folder. Okay, I will say I want to choose only the first one. I'll say this one is mobile payments, rural household consumption. Okay, I will say add. Okay, once it is done, it gives me a confirmation. I go back to my library. I will just refresh this interface in order to make sure that I see that, yeah, mobile payment in rural household. I have this particular one, Zang at 335. Okay, if I go back to my library here, to the same folder of what I've seen and demo until 8th of November. Okay, Zing. Okay, it has made an entry here. If I'm happy with all of the information, I can say okay, and I can. So this is the way by which I can easily make use of in order to download this. So the only difference when we do a bulk is nothing but based upon the results that we see here. Okay, if I search for this. Okay, or I can use something like say Emerald or Taylor and Francis, or I could go into some of this like Scopus database. I can, since I have an access to, I can do a bulk search and then make use of this. For example, if I'm doing an SLR or meta-analysis on say mobile payments. Okay, it will return the results which are huge. I can do an intelligent search by which I can use the Boolean logic with and, or, and all, and I can make use of them as well. So what I see is 5,000 documents are returned. If you want to make use of this in order to upload into my Mendeley, I can always use that as well. It gives me a confirmation about I can view the Mendeley data. I can quickly, upload all this as a bulk upload into my Mendeley library, or I can make specific selections. I can choose, select all or select pages based upon the results what it has given. I can easily upload them. So this is what is known as a bulk upload. Method will be the same. If I choose all, for example, or I can choose select pages. Which pages do I need to choose for? I can make those selections, or I choose all of them. And then I use this Mendeley, this particular extension. I can choose. Okay. This is only the result. Instead of doing only the result, what I need is, okay, this is, when we do this kind of Scopus and all, it doesn't show the PDF files. For that, I should ideally go into here. And here, since I am getting something like this, I can say mobile payments and say UT. Okay, I can do this kind of intelligent search. I've got 353 results. What I can do is I can say I want to choose 100 of them. Okay, like this, I can then go into this interface, which will show me the information. Let me quickly refresh this part. I get into this, and we can choose the numbers of what I need to be uploaded as part of here. I think my network is a bit slow in order to refresh this. Am I still audible in the call? If somebody can confirm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I think my network is a bit slow. It is not coming up with this. Okay. What would happen is typically what I demonstrated in the past, you could make these kind of selections, and you can get into in order to upload this here. So that will become a bulk upload. What we could see for entries to be made from Scopus or from any of these websites to which you have an access to. This is one way. The other method is for these research results or the research results that you get in for, you can also do an export from here. You can save it as a .ras or a .bibtex file. This file can then be, for example, if I choose bibtex, okay, I can export this into a particular, I will use it for the demo for today. Say this one, I would give it a name, okay, say Science Direct, which is 2021-11-08. Okay, now this bibtex, if I go back and open this, okay, I will open it with Notepad just for showing what entries it makes in. Okay, otherwise, I can directly put it in Mendeley Desktop as well. But for the time being, I'll open it with Notepad just to show you what are the entries, what it actually contains and for. So typically what we would see is with all bibtex, it uses a specific method to code them, or it uses a specific algorithm. How it starts is starting with an ampersand. Please do not make any changes. As I said, I know what it is and how it is to be done, but I'm just showing it to you. Why? Again, because all the library items that we make, we store it in Mendeley. I can also save it as a bibtex file, which I can use it as a backup. So I'm just showing this once for the time being, which I have downloaded from a particular search criteria. So it shows article with a curly brace and followed by a tag. The title, what is the title of this research paper, which journal, volume number, pages, year, ISSN, DOI, URL, who the authors are, what are the keywords, the abstract, okay, complete abstract followed by what ends here. Okay, so this becomes one particular entry. So what I have saved it here was 100 entries as part of the search result. Now, in order to make an entry, what I could also do is I can go back to Mendeley. For demonstration purpose, what I will do is rather than doing for all 100, I will just save one of them. Okay, in order to demonstrate this, I'll just copy the first one. Okay, till here, I will just create a new file. I'll create a new text file with, give it a name as a new dot. Yeah. Okay. I will open it with Notepad. I'll just create one entry just for demonstration purposes. Let me save this information. Now I can always do something like file. I can import a particular bibtex file, or I can simply do a drag and drop. Either of the approaches are fine. I saved in this file, in this particular folder. Let me go to this folder, which was by the name as new.bib. I say open. Or I can do drag and drop also. You know, either of them are applicable. So this was the file. This was the entry, one entry in this particular file by the name Frank Beaver, understanding the factors of mobile continuance in Helion. Okay, if I go back and validate this understanding customer adoption, no, not this one. I think, which one did I choose for? Wait, I'll go back to my file, open with Notepad. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, Helion, understanding the factors of mobile payment continuance. This is what I had. It's made an entry here. So I can go back and validate in this way. Okay, if you want to do the complete one, it might take a while. For example, let me go back and simply do a drag and drop of this. So it will make 100 entries into this. Okay. It'll take a while, as I said. So it has created all of them. All the entries that exist as part of that BibTeX file can easily be populated like this. Okay, so it has got now 108 documents in this. So by this, you can make use of these various features that the website offers, or from within the Mendeley, you could make use of these web importer in order to do a bulk upload into the database entry. Since it does not contain any attachments or the files, it's much easier to populate them with these library items. Okay. So this is about what we have covered with the database transfer as well as the web importer. We have covered files and folders. We have covered using RIS, drag drop manually. Now the last what I have to cover is about this watch folder. Now what does watch folder mean is, let me go back and create one. Say I will create one folder as a today's demonstration purposes. In the desktop, I would create a new folder. I will just create something as say demo. Okay. Now this folder is empty as of now. Whenever I download some new research paper, this should be added automatically into the Mendeley. Now, how do I do that is, the first step is to configure it. I go into the tools, options. In this, I need to go into the watch folder. I could choose I created one in the desktop. Okay, within the desktop, I created one as demo. I will make this selection. So once I make this selection, I am configuring this particular folder to be watched by Mendeley. So whenever I download any new research paper into this, an entry would be created. I say apply. I say okay. Now, how will this work is, okay, what I will do is I'll go back and empty this. I created a lot of these entries. So let me delete all the documents. I'll just make it as blank for the time being. Or I could also, look it from here itself instead of going there. Let me see now. Okay. What I do is I go into this. Say I pick up any of the current ones. Say I'll use 2022. There are 4 papers in 2022 which I will be using for. Say the first one is towards a mobile app diffusion. I don't think I have this paper with me. Towards a mobile app. No, I don't have this paper. So I should be able to easily make use of this. Okay. So what I do is I say download the PDF file. Okay. This is in an Journal of Retail and Consumer Services, or JRCS, by Shaw in 2022. What I will do is I download this. I will go into the desktop under Atal. I'll just give it some meaningful name. 2022. Okay, it's for the mobile app. JRCS. Okay. I have downloaded this now. I'll simply close this. And when I go back and confirm this here in the demo ATL, I've got this file. Now I get into here, see Shaw Norman. The same paper is now uploaded in the Mendeley. It has made an entry with the PDF file has been attached as well. So this way I can refer to a specific folder to be watched. Whenever I create or download any new paper into that particular folder, it gets added automatically into the Mendeley library. By which it, as a researcher, a lot of things could be, the time could be saved, and rather than looking in for from where, what to do, what not to do, I can configure it, a particular folder that I normally use in, for example, where I save all my research papers to be watched by Mendeley, and it could be added automatically. Okay, I've covered all of them. So before I go into referencing part, any questions? Let me quickly open up for questions. I've covered all the 7 methods or approaches to build a library. Any questions from anyone? Okay, I'll take it as no.
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, thanks for confirming it. I was a bit looking forward whether I'm audible or not. Yeah, thanks for confirming. So 7 approaches is what I have covered. So the next is what we will be doing is I've covered all of this to create folders, search for documents. Duplicates is something I will cover in a while, about how do we check for duplicates and how do we merge them. What I will do is I'll quickly go in now about the citation, the very most important part in this. So what we do in order to cite is, whenever we want to write any research paper, as I initially said, it is typically based upon the style of the researcher or the author, the way that we write in our manuscript. So we got something known as an in-text citation, as well as we got something known as an end-text citation. Okay. Now, how do we use them is, there are different approaches for doing it. I can say, so in-text citation could be wherein I write something, say the authors indicate analyzed and inferred. I'm just typing something, okay? It may not make sense. Analyze and inferred the results. Okay, something like this I want to type. So now when I say authors, that means the expectation is I would cite here as the authors. Similarly, based upon the way that the researcher is writing, the researcher can also cite here, or it could be at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, these are the different approaches. I can say cite this mentioned that the something, you know, I'm just modifying this and saying so by which I can have a citation either at the beginning of the sentence, at the middle of the sentence, or at the end of the sentence. Now there are various approaches for doing it. So the first is, how do we add them? In order to add a specific citation in Microsoft Word, the method would be, if I simply say the authors mentioned and analyzed. Okay, to cite it, I will bring my cursor here. Okay, and I go into the references tab page. Here I can choose what style do I need to use for. I will use APA for the time being. Is my Mendeley not started? Give me a sec. Okay, 7th edition. Quick check on it. Yeah. Things are fine. It is synchronized. Okay. Now, if I go back here, in order to cite something here, I would say insert citation. I can search by author, by title, or by the year. Now, what does this typically mean is, if I go back to Mendeley, I got author or title. I can choose either of the approaches, or I can also make use of this particular citation key. For example, if I want to cite this particular author, Shaw Norman, Shaw 2022, I just need to make use of this. I say insert citation, Shaw 2022. I get this. Okay, I can make a selection and choose OK. So as soon as I do that, this has been cited in my manuscript with the correct form. When I talk about the form, means the style what I've chosen as American Psychological Association, APA style 7. Now, how does it know what has to be cited, which one to choose, which one not to choose? There are many options. I will come into about the selection of these styles in a while. Okay. The first, let's go into how do we cite them. Now, as soon as I do that, I could create a last section as references or a bibliography section. In this part I need to do once. I can place my cursor and say insert bibliography. So this has to be done once, as I said. Okay, all these are now cited based upon what entries I have in my library item. So if you look into this and the name, all the options what are given here, it actually matches with this. Okay, with the DOI number. Okay. Any changes I want to make, I should make here. For example, if I say the issue number is incorrect, I just remove the issue number. Okay. Once I do this, okay, I've removed the issue number just for demonstration purposes. Okay. If I go back here, it still has September 2021. Where has the paper gone? Okay, Sean Norman, this one. Okay. With the page numbers. Okay, instead of this, I say 125 to 140, say 150. Okay, something arbitrarily I'm making these changes. So once this Sean Norman. Okay, some details in here. So what I can do is I can go back and say refresh once. It makes all those changes, whatever I find in here. Issue number, pages, if I say, or delete it, for example. Okay, if I go back and refresh, okay, any changes, so anything that I see here should actually be based upon what is listed here. So these are now tightly integrated. How does it know what references it is? Based upon the entry that I make here. Okay, so these are what Microsoft uses to communicate with Mendeley is various APIs or the application programming interface. How do I know this is? Whenever you select this, it becomes grayed out. You right click on it and choose toggle field. I won't recommend you to do any of these, but this is the code what it has as part of this plugin, wherein it creates this code by which it understands how does it communicate with Mendeley. I can go back and say toggle field. So do not make any changes to this unless you actually want to. Okay, you must have that kind of understanding for making any of those. Otherwise, your the kind of updates that you make will go haywire. Okay, so this is one. The second is if I want to cite a paper, say if I want to cite my paper, which was in 2019, I want to choose another one, which was in 2021, say the mobile payments. I say okay. So now I've selected two, the same authors with papers published in 2 different years. So this is the way the formatting has to happen, which it understands. So whenever I make any changes, it actually makes into the references as well. Okay, so this is the way. Now, at times, what could also happen is I could have, this is what somebody has asked for, the difference between, Mendeley Reference Manager and the desktop. For example, I have these one. Now what I want is based upon the style of my writing, I want all the 3 to be cited in one go. So I can make this selection. How do you select it? Simply by using the cursor or the mouse and click on merge citation. So it has now merged together. So a particular author can be referenced multiple times in a research paper. So I can also, rather than making them into edit citation, typing them one by one, I can also make these kind of selections and then merge them together. And this option is something which is available in the desktop version. Okay. Now, this is one part of how do we cite them in Word. Now, typically, whenever we want to submit in research paper in different journals, I may have to change it. For example, from APA, I want to change it to say Chicago style. Okay, with just a click of a button, you will find all these changes has happened. Okay, so this is one style what they use for, or it could be 16th edition. Okay, you will find a lot of variations between 16th and 17th edition. Okay, so it takes care of all of those. Similarly, if I want to use Harvard, Emerald Harvard, you'll find that now it is in double quotes. Okay, something like this. So all these kind of, and it will have, instead of, it'll spell out as VOL and PP for the page number, issue number, NO. All this is taken care by simply with the click of a button. Or if there are specific journals, for example, International Journal of Information Management is an A-star journal. They might have a specific requirement and I can format based upon those. Now, how do we know what it has to be used for is, if I go into Mendeley, under the, what we have is view menu, citation style. This indicates all that which is installed. I can also go in for more styles and install a specific style here. I can, based upon what exists, we can choose in order to install, for example, IEEE or IIM Bangalore has got a specific style. Like this, I can pick and choose and I can install those specific one, or I can get more if it is not existing in my library. For example, I will take one quick one. If I go in for information and I think it is decision sciences, which is not the okay, information and management. Let me choose this particular one. It's an elsewhere journal. If I go to this particular journal, okay, each of the journals would have something known as guide for authors. Okay, I can look for that specific one. Whenever you want to submit your manuscript, look for this guide for authors. It will tell you what should be the reference style it should use. Let me go in for a style. Okay, it says it should be consistent. The style to be used. Okay, yeah. So it says citation style language. So, or it's with a .csl what it offers for, which can be used with Mendeley. Okay, and it will also give in about what style it is, something like this. It says, or you can simply click on this link, information and management. So if I go back into Mendeley, if I go into view citation style, I don't have this information and management installed in. Okay, so either I can click here or I can copy this link and paste it under this this place for more styles. I can look for specific information. I can also download it by entering the URL and then click on download. Either of the options are fine. So if I click on this, okay, it will go to that style. I have Mendeley. Okay, it says open the desktop. It gives a confirmation saying that style selected information and management. So if I go back into view and citation style, I've got information management. So this is much easier. Now, if I go back to my Microsoft Word and I want to use that particular one, information and management, I can easily use that. What I just need to do is I will quickly open a new one. So it has got information and management, which is the selected style. Or I can copy and paste or close this and then open it, or I can go into more styles. I can say, I can make a specific selection from here as well. I can say the information and management, use the style, and I say done. Okay. Multiple options are available for, and it's actually a numbered style what it uses. So by this, it can format or reformat easily from one form to the other form based upon the citation style. Now, typically, this kind of style could be used in any domain. It could be in pharmacy, it could be in law, it could be in social sciences, management. You know, various styles are available for which needs to be used in for. So we can always customize it based upon the requirements. Okay, so what I will do is I will stop here. We are on the top of the hour. If you have got any specific questions to ask, and then I will take another 5 minutes to complete the session. So sir, before that, let me open it up for questions.
Sir, we are using only desktop version for Microsoft Word citations. Can we use reference manager, sir?
Oh yeah, you can use it. It is the same. See, what it requires when you go in for the reference manager is, it will use the cloud version. So all your library item will be stored in the cloud. Irrespective of the version that you use, you can always use them. So there is no limitation with it. I can also show you, for example, this is the latest version. And in here, well, I don't have this installed in. What you would get is, here you might get another icon as site, CITE, once you install it. You can click on that, and the format is something similar what I have demonstrated here.
Yeah, understood, sir.
It is
Understood.
similar.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
So can we use Mendeley with Excel also? Suppose I
With-
want to
Uh-huh.
Excel, yeah, I want to make it as an Excel file.
Why do you want to make it as an Excel file?
Actually, these documents which I read, I want to put some, I mean, that I have read it, I would like to use it for this purpose. Like that, I want to make a tabular requirement I want to fulfill. But I am
Okay.
not able to do it directly. I have to copy paste the author name, journal, everything, and then I put it. I mean,
Oh, you're
all these.
talking about one by one, is it?
Yes, so one by one. When I
Oh,
read,
no.
first of all, after some time, I also forget which one I've read, which one I've not read. So that also
I
creates
know
a
what
problem.
you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You can always keep adding on multiple columns in Excel as well. For example, you want to understand which are the dependent, independent variables in a particular research paper. You can keep adding on multiple things. Yeah. Okay. So for that, it is not a simple one by which you can simply, export it into an Excel. That kind of option is not available because the purpose of this is to do with citation. Okay. For example, you have file. You can do some sort of import export. Import is a BibTeX, EndNote, or an RIS form. But having said that, there are other options that you could explore. Good that you asked me. I do use this kind of feature as well. I will give a quick demonstration on how it could be used. For example, I choose an APA style. With the APA, it has got a specific method of using it. Okay. So say I have how many 9 documents. I do a selection, right click, I say copy as formatted citation. Okay. If I go and paste it, okay, it's a simple one with comma separated values. Are you with me?
Yeah, sir, yeah.
Yeah. So in Excel, I can create my own code. I can make use of this in order to update my Excel file. Okay.
You mean I should export it as a delimiter feature? And,
no, it's not as simple as a delimiter. Okay. Why? Because if you look here, I will go back to this and show you. Okay. If you look here, how does a delimiter work? Either with a comma, with a tab or something. If you see here in the name, it could be multiple commas. Okay. So this will not work properly. So what you need to do is, for a particular style, there are different forms. What it actually, if you're an expert in Excel, you can always customize this. I will give you a quick demo since you have asked this question. Normally, I don't do this in any of the workshops. I will quickly show you what I have done into this.
Sir, I have been attending almost all your workshops, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm also very extensively using Mendeley, but this question came with time.
Okay, perfect. So the way that I have customized it, as you rightly asked for, this is something that we tend to use it. Okay. I have, this is what I have. Okay. So I have created my own formulas and all into this by which I can make use of it. So what I need to do is simply copy and paste here. It will pick up all the values and then make use of it. But it should be, only thing is, in an APA format. So I will use any one of them rather than multiple ones just for your demo purposes. I'll say the first one. I will copy as a formatted citation. I just need to go and where is this? Yeah, here. I'll just paste it here. See this? As soon as I do it, I have customized everything. Okay, based upon the exact way that the APA formatting is. I've got all this information that I can now extract. Okay, these are the typical fields what I need, and this I can put it in my Excel file. Okay, if you want, I can quickly show you this as well. What I have is these. Okay, I should do paste as a text. Okay, now what these fields are these. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So it has got the title. Okay, see the complete title, author or authors. Okay, so I can customize it the way that I need with no mistakes into this.
So this is a direct pasting from Mendeley?
नहीं ये मैंने Excel में customize किया है. I've customized it. I've created my, see, mine is a very exhaustive one. So for each one of them, only thing what I have done is I've pasted this particular one in an APA format. And then I have my own formulas. You see here, all this.
All right, all right.
These are Excel formulas, the way that I have created this. And then I extract specific information based upon what I need. Okay, then I can have my own listing. Like I have one as the research papers, wherein I do a lot of comprehensive one. Like, I just need, like you said, whether read or not read, I can make use of this. I also have something which I've customized, saying whether I have taken a printout of this particular research paper or not. And I have got something more categorization of which category of ABDC journal it is. I do a lot of things as part of it. So for all this, again, you need those entries, which none of the softwares offers for. Okay, another one, you just do a copy, any one or multiple ones you can select, do a copy as formatted citation, and then go here and paste it here. That's all. Once it has to be done, all information is here. Okay, but if you want this blank format or a template, I can always provide it to you. I created this on my own, for my own purpose.
All right. Sir, if you can share, I would request you to share. I mean, how will you share? I'll send you a mail or something. I know.
Yeah, just send me an email. I'll give you my email ID.
Sir, if you share this file in WhatsApp group, then it will be helpful for to all.
One thing. Okay, am I audible now? I don't know what happened. Host has muted everyone.
No, sir, you are audible.
I'm audible, okay.
Yeah.
What about my screen? Can you see my screen as well?
No, sir, your screen is not visible.
Yeah.
Your back.
You had stopped sharing your screen, sir.
Okay, now is it visible?
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was showing is in this citation style, it should be APA. Okay, if for example I choose a wrong one, say I choose this one, say, okay, now if I do, I'll choose another record. I do copy as formatted citation. Now if you look into this, it is totally different. Okay, with these double quotes, with wall number and all. Now if I use this here in my Excel file, it might not work. Okay, see, you see this, it has got 195 dot something and all. So you see here again, volume number, it shows something SP. Okay, but if I use exactly the same one, Mendoza, this particular one, but with, so only word of caution is it must be in an APA form whenever you are doing as copy. Now if I put it here, it will exactly work. Are you with me? Okay, see the correct entries into this, because my formula caters to the APA formatting. Okay, that's the only word of caution when you're using it.
Wonderful,
okay?
sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's a very simple one with all formulas. I'll send you a blank template. Just drop me an email. And if anybody else wants it, just drop me an email. Okay. Okay, any other questions? I guess no more questions. Then what else do I need to cover? Merging. Okay, duplicates is what you have asked for. Okay. Now, these duplicates are very, very important. I don't know if the gentleman is still there in the call or not, the person who asked for the duplicates.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now for duplicates, why is it required is, see, even today, I have downloaded some from Scopus, some from Science Direct. I have, dragged and dropped. When I use multiple sources in order to populate the library, there could be multiple entries. In that scenario, in order to ensure that I avoid these multiple entries, what I could do is I can go in tools and check for duplicates. I've got how many? 3,182 entries now. It will check the complete library and it says there are 90 sets of duplicates found in all documents. I can do it either at the, from the hierarchical region at the top, or I can do it at a specific folder level as well. And at every such stage, whenever there are duplicates, when you, which says 90 sets, but the numbers might be higher. So when you do this kind of, what should I say, small triangle, what you see here, when you double click on it, it will expand. Okay, it will show you the number of papers what it has found to be duplicate. So in this case, it has found 2. There could be some which are more than 2 as well, like 2, 3, 4, or 5. All this would be listed in out here. Okay, and for each of this, what it shows is the confidence level. The confidence, what it currently shows is very high, 100%. That means the entries, what it has found as duplicates between the first and the second is exactly the same. The only difference is with this PDF file. In the next scenario or the second entry, again, something similar. In the third case, it is something similar. So I could, look in for this. The most important, before I go in for a merge, how to merge them is very easy. Okay, I'll first show with one of them, then I will take another one as an example. To merge them is, for this particular one, so what I see here is, on this right-hand side, it gives in all this information and it talks about which ones are conflict, which one are non-conflict. If the confidence is high, I can easily go and simply click on merge. But if I scroll down, see here at the end, it is sorted. I have sorted this based upon the confidence level. In this case, the confidence is much less. Let me show you for this particular one. So this research paper has got these 2 entries. Okay, now what is the difference between the 2? Okay, you can make out directly when I select this on the right hand side. Look for this. It says the confidence is much less compared to the previous ones. When I select the first one, look into the entries here. When I choose the second one, look into the entries here. Did you find the difference?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the title as well as in the authors. See the way it is mentioned in between this and this. Okay, so with this then, as a researcher, you need to understand which one are correct and which one should I use, which one should I not use for. So based upon that, you can make this merge. For example, if I'm fine with this, the first one, which is saying 100%. So I'll exactly show the same thing what I did now. See, the first one is this, second one is exactly the same. Not much of a difference between the 2. Okay, wherein in the second one, there are some missing entries. In the first one, it has got all entries, but there is no conflict. Conflict could happen if for a particular entry, the data is different. That becomes a conflict. Missing information is not a conflict here. So it says the confidence is much higher. If I'm satisfied with this, I can just say confirm merge. It will confirm it, it will remove. It says 2 documents have been merged. Similarly, the next one, very high confidence, so I can simply go and merge them. So that's the way I could look for the duplicates and merge them in order to avoid multiple entries existing. Now, what is the impact of it in your research paper that you must understand? For example, if I've cited this one paper separately in my research paper and this as separately in my research paper here, I'm talking about in my manuscript. Okay, the way that I have mentioned in here, if these are different, in the case, what would happen? I'll just go back to APA 7. So in this scenario, what would happen is, whenever you open this Word document, since it uses the API, it does the scanning. It will be able to understand if there are any changes or if an entry is missing. It will prompt you to state whether you want to make an entry if an entry goes missing from your library. For example, if you have merged it, in that case, what happens? Out of the 2 or multiple entries, only one will exist. And if you have referenced them separately, that could be an issue. So it will prompt and say whether you want to make a new entry or are you satisfied with the new one that needs to be used in for. So that kind of confirmation you will get whenever you open your manuscript or a document in Microsoft Word. Okay. Is that clear? I forgot your name. I don't know who asked this.
Yes, sir. This is Subbareddy, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Clarified. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions before we close the call today? Any other questions? No? Okay. Now, before we close the call, I do conduct a lot of these workshops. Since you have in the chat box, I have already included the website. My Google one, I would simply quickly do it once again. If we go back to the home page, you have a lot of information in here. I'll just paste it here. In my website, you could also get my email ID, contact information. All information is existing. So the key thing is for the session today, I've got this under the resources tab page about Mendeley. Okay, a lot of information exists about installation, the reference manager installation guide, Microsoft plugin. For example, if you're using the latest one as 2016 or 2019, if it doesn't work, then what you should do. Okay, you can always go and refer to this. And similarly,
sir, is it possible to paste the link in the chat box, sir?
I have already pasted it. You can go to the chat box. It is here.
Not there in the chat box, sir.
Yeah. Can you see my screen? It's there in the chat box.
Sir has posted it at the beginning of the session.
No, I just did it now. I did it now also.
Not there, sir.
Not, sir.
Yeah. Can you see it? Oh, no.
No, sir.
No,
sir.
Sorry. One second. I should send it to everyone. I don't know how it went to. Okay. Can you see it now? My chat, the link?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So this is for the plugin. Similarly, how to build library or some of the frequently asked questions. You can make use of all of these information. And similarly, whenever you are using references, I have a lot of information in here. You can always make use of all this information. For example, importance, using APA referencing or guidelines, some tips and tricks. You could make use of all this information as well. Okay, how one quick example I will show you about referencing. So what you need to do is, for example, if you're using the guidelines, okay, what I have demonstrated today, there are some basic rules what APA follows that you must make use of. For example, in-text and end-text citation. What should be the font, double spaced, left margin, right margin and all. You could always make use of this. And what I have demonstrated today is about parenthetical citation, which is an in-text citation. It is purely based upon the writing style of the researcher or the author. Okay, whether you use at the beginning of the sentence, at the middle of the sentence, or at the end of the sentence. So that's what we call it as parenthetical citation. When you're using it, how should it be referenced for? And similarly, if you're using narrative citation, that means instead of using something like this, it should be changed to like this in APA style. So the bracket should be removed, ampersand becomes AND. And the brackets, okay. Otherwise, what would happen is your manuscript is having a high chance of being desk rejected if you do not follow the correct citation style as part of your manuscript. So be very, very crucial about what you're using for. Similarly, when you use multiple authors or multiple works by the same author, so all the information is listed in here. You can always make use of all the resources. Okay, I've got something on guide to publishing and journal abstracting. How do you find the right journals? a lot of this information on models and theories as well, all of them are related to research scholars or academicians that you could always refer to. A lot of information, and I keep updating this as well. Okay. Okay, good. So before we close the call, any quick questions from anyone? Okay, if there are no questions, I check the chat box.
It is a good session, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, I am. Please do make use of it, because citation and referencing is a very, very important part. We all as academicians or research scholars need to make sure that our papers get accepted. All the amount of work that we spend in creating or doing a research or writing a research paper, it should not be rejected just because of referencing styles or incorrect methods being used. And so please do make good use of it. And Mendeley is one good software that you could easily make use of. And with that, what I also do is I also conduct an advanced level session. It is free. Okay, if you my next session updates are already there in my website. If, for example, you face any problems as part of this session today, you can always go into the forthcoming FDPs. I do conduct one session which is known as an meet the Mendeley advisor. You've got the registration link as well. You can register. It is on 8th of January. So typically once in a quarter, I would conduct this sort of session. So if you have any questions related to this, it is purely based on advanced level. That means I won't go through these basics and all. If you get stuck somewhere and you don't know how to resolve or how to move ahead with this, you can always register yourself and come and ask your questions on this session. Okay. And as I said, there is no specific charges for it. It's mainly to resolve the issues that you face in front. Okay, Dr. Ramesh, I'm through with this session. I don't think there are any questions from the participants. I would transfer it back to you, Dr.
Yes.
Ramesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, participants. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we will meet up once again for the regular sessions which has been planned already. Regarding the PPT and the videos, it will be sent through mail.
Sir,
Thank
what
you.
about today's attendance?
Attendance has been marked from our end. In AICTE website, we can't take attendance or we can't upload attendance per day. It is asking for attendance for all 5 days in at the same time in the portal. So once we upload it, we'll share with you the same Excel sheet as well to all the participants in the mail ID.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. What about feedback?
The feedback also at the end. For all the sessions, we will get the feedback in the last after last session.
After 5 days, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Yeah, hold on. The organizer, Dr. Veena Kumari, has to share something with you all.
Excuse me, Raja, sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sir, actually, I just wanted to ask that if you can share your LR format as well, the Excel sheet that you are showing us, the literature review
Okay.
Excel sheet.